I broke down Alphane into two sections. Section 1 is a 4-move finger-intensive AP plus boulder problem. The hardest part of this section is correctly taking the second hold, transitioning your feet, and executing the big throw move. Section 2 has numerous ways to do it. Each method is roughly similar in difficulty. It comes down to style preference. Each method contains the same amount of hand moves. I consider this section to be hard 8C. There are many videos that showcase the different methods to do this section, so I am only going to talk about the two methods I put time into. The method that I am using here is how Aiden did it. The moves are more extended but flow faster when done. I am at full extension though, which creates a red flag that keeping tension could be improbable from the start. I returned back in spring of 2023 and invested a month into Alphane. My progress went surprisingly well. I had one good go from the start, which gave me the sensation that I could do this line. I was able to link the second boulder a couple of times and was consistent with the opening boulder. The season came to a close, but I had confidence that I would come back next year and do it. In December of 2024, I returned back to Ticino with Sean Bailey for another round on Alphane. It was motivating to session with Sean and see how quickly he was able to link the sections together. Sean used a different method for the transition crux involving a crazy swing out move, which I had no chance of doing. On the flip side, my method did not work for him. Sean ended up sending Alphane, which was awesome to watch. I spent the whole month relearning the moves and trying to achieve my links from spring of 2023. I had one good bottom rip where I fell going to the left-hand crux pinch. I was not able to link section 2, but could link the stand a couple times. Overall, the sections were not consistent for me. My belief of sending Alphane this trip vanished. I could not come close to achieving what I did in 2023. Part of me was discouraged from this outcome, yet another part was still addicted to the challenge. Normally, after putting in substantial work on a climb, I can go back home with some confidence that next time my odds of doing it will be higher. Well, after December sessions, I was still left with uncertainty. My links were minuscule compared to spring of 2023. I could not repeat the second section, and the first section was not even close to feeling consistent. If anything, I had regressed. This definitely fucked with my mind. When I left Ticino in December, I truly questioned if I should return back in February. Projecting can be a major headfuck. I had to fixate on all the positive sessions I had to keep the belief burning. This is what I did. My goal for February was to build consistency on both sections and hopefully make it back to my high point in 2023. Sending was not on my mind yet. The stand start, aka Red Point Crux of Alphane, offers a bizarre sequence. I take a right hand flat full pad edge, left foot goes onto a sloping rail feature, right foot smears on a terrible dimple around hand height. I drop knee and reach out left to a 3-finger 3/4 pad sloping pocket crimp grip, engage my thumb to make it a hold, step my right foot through to the sloping lip of the crux pinch below me, and then do a stretched out move with my left leg to cam my heel into this flared slot feature. If I am accurate with the heel, then the next set of moves is chill, but if accuracy is off, then potential to fall is real. And that was a straight up tongue twister. It is key to have the second section feel consistent. The hardest part is the transition. At the start of this video, I showcased the extended way to get set up for the Red Point Crux. This way is more efficient overall and would feel chill to me if I was a couple centimeters taller. I am not though, and such is life. It was doable but took a lot of energy to do. I was not consistent enough with this way to assure myself that I could do it from the start. I started playing around with how most climbers do the transition, Like I said before, there are numerous ways to set your feet up and lock your body into the roof so you can reach out left to a precise, piss-poor, flared slot pinch. I found it difficult to hit this hold accurately, maintain friction, and create stability to tenuously walk my feet out of this foot clamp position and access this decent-looking yet extremely slick pocket foot out left. Once I gain this foot, I do a risky foot swap, toe scum this flat edge with my left toe, and dive into a right-hand quarter pad aggressively sharp edge. This box feels small and uncomfortable to me. Once I gain the right hand edge, I can then swing my right foot up to a sloping rail feature and am now in a comfortable position to execute the red point crux. I could start with my left hand in the crux pinch and consistently execute the transition, but as soon as I added the one move into the pinch, the transition felt desperate. A major reason for this was initially failing to be accurate with the pinch. I had to stall out most of the time and readjust to get it right. This took away friction and energy. The times that I could fight through, I was too gassed to execute the final red point crux. The reason I switched to trying the transition this way is because when it worked, it felt really good. I thought the amount of energy used was less compared to the other way, so I could envision having power left at the end when coming from the start. The downside of this method, though, is that it is more about having good friction rather than strength. The first part of Alphane was still giving me trouble. I was not feeling the friction of the holds, thus making the flow feel slower than it should. The starting left heel hook is finicky for me. It is crucial to have this heel locked in so I can properly grab the second hold. Most of the time I could grab the second hold but was not precise with it. By the time I was set up for the big throw, my tips were barely on and I had no chance at the move. When I started from 2 moves in, I could execute the big move every try. I knew once I figured out the heel lock, I could buy more time and get the second hold right. This would make the big move feel like it did when I started there. The result would be more consistency with the first part. Alphane's 2 sections are vastly different in hold selection and movement. This makes bouncing around the 2 sections doable. Once I was fried in the first part, my attention switched to part 2. The transition was feeling smoother, but I still would crumble on the move out to the left hand weird grip. This was mainly due to lost friction on my right hand. It is very important for me to feel stable with my right hand so I can set myself into the drop knee and reach out left. The left hand requires accuracy, so the foot transition to the left heel is doable. Friction issues became the main reason for me not executing part 2. Almost 2 weeks have gone by and still have not linked the second section. Conditions have been inconsistent, which mirrors my reality to my performance on section 1 and 2. I do feel subtle progression though. Mentally, I know how the flow should go, but there is something about this humid feeling overhang that rejects me most of the time. I have yet to try a line that has been this friction dependent. Finally, I had a breakthrough and got a high point. I was nowhere close to sticking the sharp crimp, but felt good climbing to that point. I decided to 2-piece Alphane this session for mental purposes. Climbing a line in 2 parts can create an illusion that I am close to doing it. Getting through the first part and almost executing the transition of part 2 was huge for me. Next step was to do it again and hopefully get to the point where I could do it multiple times in a session. That would mean consistency was created. I got close to matching last session's high point and was happy with that. Now it was time for some section 2 action. The transition continued to give me issues. I could not properly stick to the pinch. Eventually I made it through, but fell at the end putting my heel in. Shit is becoming a damn nightmare at this point. I ended the session by doing the stand. It felt pretty chill. I tried to wrap my head around why I could house the stand, but adding the transition crux to this exponentially leveled things up. I mean, I could do the transition fairly consistent, but I guess it zapped my energy enough to keep denying me of this link. Another session and same objective, to link section 2. After starting with a couple failed attempts, I decided to switch things up and try to do this section with my left hand already in the crux pinch. I also eliminated the foot swap. This went down fairly chill, which sparked something in me. The light bulb suggested that the move to the pinch controlled my outcome of the link. If I could get the pinch well, then the section would be doable. If I got it slightly off, then my odds significantly dropped. Also, my friction on the right hand glassy full pad pinch had to be great in order to lock off and isolate my right arm and move to the left hand pinch with control. Overall, friction was not great to complete the section 2 link, so I went back to section 1. This section also felt desperate. My skin was sliding around on the edges and the struggle was real. I took a long break and managed to get through it. Part of me was stoked to do it with less than ideal stick, but also I was getting fed up with how this climb was feeling. 2 months worth of sessions were in the books, and 10% of those sessions offered good sensations. This climb has my mind fucked, to say the least. You might have noticed a giant gap from the previous session until now. That is because it rained for 12 days. Typical Ticino weather. Just when you start feeling in the groove to make some hot links or send, boom, weather has other plans for you. I felt a little uncoordinated with the moves coming back. I also had 3 sessions left before I had to leave back to Colorado. I was still looking for that section 2 link and another proper start rip. Ideally, I would get through the transition from the start and have a shot at the end. Oh. No. Conditions were starting to warm up and humidity was at an all-time high from the rain. Maybe it was me, maybe it was the shit conditions, maybe it was a combo of both, but I could not do the transition sequence anymore. I decided to revert back to my original method. Funny enough, the OG transition method went first try. I was able to do it multiple times with the rock texture being humid and feeling like a sponge. The reason I could get through the transition this way is because it wasn't only about hanging on your skin. It was more about using strength and keeping tension. Another light bulb went off in my head. I could rely on training myself to become stronger, which would hypothetically lead to consistency in section 2, rather than banking on conditions to be primed to get through the small box transition method. All along, I should have been trying section 2 this way. Though it is at max extension for me, it is more my style than the other way. I also like the idea that I can actively train this method rather than have to rely on an uncontrollable factor like weather to make the sequence work. In the end, I did not get the section 2 link back or the mega start rip I was looking for. What I did achieve was consistency in the first section and belief that I can be consistent in section 2 using my original transition method. I am stoked to return back this winter season and continue my war with Alphane.